and we met a lot of people, a lot of artists and stuff, and then they see what we were doing. But these are 2D artists. They just draw.
Okay.
But they have ideas like, I want to make a toy.
Out of something that they had already created or drawn themselves.
Which is, it's a 2D drawing, but they want to turn this into an actual physical thing. And they saw what we were doing. And it's like, can you do it for us? And then we're like, sure, why not?
Coming to you straight from Fremont, California, this is the Fremont Podcast, dedicated to telling the stories of the past and present of the people and places of the city of Fremont, one conversation at a time.
I'm on Osgood Road at the City of Fremont Corporation Yard. I am here at the City of Fremont Sandbag Station, where people can fill up a maximum of 10 bags per household. Once you're in the parking lot, look for a bright blue City of Fremont dumpster with a bunch of very dark gray sand in it. There's a gardening spade stuck in the sand. And a very helpful makeshift station where 3 traffic cones have been turned upside down, turned into funnels. Put your bag underneath the funnel, get your sand from the bin, pour it into the funnel, and there you go. You are listening to episode 106 of the Fremont Podcast.
Now, here's your host, Ricky B.
All right. Well, let's get started then.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I'm with Paul, and Paul.
Hello.
You're going to say your last name for me again?
Tanompong.
Tanompong.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said that was Thai.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Are you from Thailand?
Yes, I was born in Thailand, and I came here I don't remember the exact date.
Yeah.
But I was probably like 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your family moved here when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom had like a green card sponsorship thing through work, and then brought me over, and yeah.
That's awesome. And did you move directly to Fremont, or were you?
No, Southern California.
Okay.
Highland, San Bernardino.
Okay.
Out in the boonies, very suburban, like the burbs, It's just no tall buildings, a lot of open spaces, but it was relaxing, I guess, and calm. And
so let's talk about props and pops.
Yeah. So being an artist and also being in the industry full of artists, game artists and stuff, people, we come to realize like a lot of artists like to make and sell their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go to Comic-Con, there's an artist alley where a bunch of independent artists make and sell their own like little posters and cards or whatever of their own artwork.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, I could do something with 3D. Because at the time, 3D printers were still at its
very
infancy.
New. Yeah.
Very new and kind of pricey or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
true. They were very pricey.
Right now, it's like $200-$300.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back then, when it first came out, it was like 1,000 or more.
Yeah, I was going to say, I started looking at them when they first came out.
But since I was a kid, I was sculpting. I was playing with clay and stuff. In high school, I took sculpting class, and so I've always been a sculptor.
Okay.
Manually, hand
by hand, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, maybe I can make some stuff. So I did. So I started sculpting. I learned. In high school, I learned how to use Super Sculpey, which is a polymer clay.
Okay.
So it doesn't harden unless you bake it.
Oh.
But it's an oil based clay where it's soft and it's not like water based.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't dry or anything.
Yeah. Oh, that's
very,
nice.
Very easy to work with.
Yeah.
So I sculpt a few characters and then I learned how to make the mold and cast my own stuff. And back then, 2011, 2012, YouTube was also still it's already around, but educational stuff wasn't that much.
Right.
So I had to do my own research, buy books, and learn from wherever I can, and then through trial and error. And we were just doing that on the side for a while because we were working full time. We're making 6 figures, each person.
Yeah.
And it was just fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Creative outlet, I guess, because when you're working for somebody, you're making their stuff.
That's right.
Not your own personal stuff.
So it's fun to be involved in a bigger project like that especially for people that are doing, things that are being used around the world.
Yeah.
But then you have your own private interests as well, the things that you enjoy that you dream about at home.
Exactly. It's always nice, or you feel more accomplishment by making your own personal artwork or creations.
Yeah.
And selling it or having people want to buy it or appreciate it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So you started dabbling in making your own stuff. I think was it 2012 or was it before that?
2011.
2011. Okay.
2011, 2012. Like,
what were the original things that you created for yourself? Like, what were the things that like when you started just thinking about the things that you would design and make for yourself, what were some of those things?
So I was a character artist, a 3D artist, where I create characters for games.
Okay.
So I want to make characters. So I made this one character. It's like a little great white shark, but he's like standing up.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of like your typical Bronx kind of gangster, with the cap and the cigar, like the big tough guy, like a wise guy, right?
Yeah.
But he's a great white shark, and he has like gold teeth and I mean we went to this show called Ape Convention or Ape Con.
Okay.
It's not around anymore.
Okay.
But this was back then, and we sold a whole bunch. And
that's
we
awesome.
Just kept doing it.
Yeah. And
my wife also sculpted like a little. I don't know if you heard of like the Money or Dunny, like the one by the Kid Robot. It's just it's like a blank.
Okay. No, maybe I've seen it, but I didn't know what I was.
So it was like a basic blank. I guess you can call it like a boy.
Okay.
Pudgy little boy with like a kind of like a hair. I have it somewhere, like a little weird haircut.
Okay.
But it was blank, so there's no feature other than the hair and the silhouette of the body.
Okay.
And then we can take that one blank and turn it into multiple characters just by painting different different outfits.
Yeah.
The hair is always the same because it's sculpted in.
Okay.
But the body is just like smooth, so you can paint on clothes and stuff.
That's awesome.
So we had like 3 different designs of that, and along with the shark character, and it did really well. Like people loved it, and it kind of we kind of slowed down a little bit from the show because it does take a lot of time, and we were also working, so we were just selling stuff online.
Okay.
So
you had a website and everything?
I think at the time it was like Shopify.
Okay.
And it was like brand new back in the days. It was like like it was so rough,
so basic and
stuff. Yeah. So
that's funny.
And then we're just doing.
Started making more and more.
We didn't make more and more.
Okay.
We kind of stuck with those
same things that worked.
That's because exactly. Plus we were really busy with work and stuff. And then 2017, I guess the company I was working for, I left EA and went to another company.
Okay.
Again, it was a up movement, more money, more responsibility, which is fine because I have to experience. But that company, I was number 87, and 2000, I forget. But like 2017, when I was laid off, it was like over 300 people.
Oh.
So it was one of those things where the company grew too fast.
Yes.
And then all the projects they were working, or half the projects they were working on, didn't happen. Or
oh man,
because you go through testing phase, you go through presentation phase to investors, and then if they don't like it,
then
they
it
back
just goes
out.
away.
Yeah. So I was one of the people who got laid off, but and then my wife at the time already left EA and went to Disney.
Oh, okay.
Disney Interactive, and she was working on like Star Wars games. It's cool. So no, actually she got laid off first a year before I did.
Okay.
But because she was at EA prior, she went back as a contractor.
Okay.
Like a year
Yeah.
which is kind of easy. You just do the contract.
Yeah.
And then I got laid off 2017, right before her contract ended. And I was like, we technically have a year of unemployment to do whatever.
To figure out what you're going to do. Yeah.
So at the time, we started doing slightly more stuff. We started selling stuff on Etsy.
Okay.
And
so so was it still some of the same stuff that you were doing at that point on Etsy, or did you kind of change?
In the beginning, yes.
Okay.
It was the stuff that we had before.
Yeah.
Plus, we added some more stuff like cute animals, and it's all resin.
Yeah.
And then we and it was a couple $100 a week, this and that, on the side. And we were like, we can, if we have more inventory,
Yeah.
more products,
Yep.
and more time to make more, and what could happen?
What could we do?
Yeah, what could we do? Now that we have plenty of time, tackling it full time, can we make it grow?
Yeah.
Which we decided to do it because again, unemployment.
You were both unemployed. You were receiving unemployment, so you're like, we have a little bit of time.
We have time to experiment and test it out, and luckily it worked out. And it's not only Etsy; it's because we started. The first show we ever did was Maker Faire.
Okay.
2017.
Here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we went to Maker Faire and we started selling stuff, and we met a lot of people, a lot of artists and stuff, and then they see what we were doing, but these are 2D artists. They just draw.
Okay.
But they have ideas like, I want to make a toy.
Out of something that they had already created or drawn themselves.
Which is, it's a 2D drawing, but they want to turn this into an actual physical thing. And they saw what we were doing. And it's like, can you do it for us? And then we're like, I mean, sure, why not? I mean, now 3D technology is much cheaper.
Sure.
And I have, I built my own 3D printer. I'm, even though I hate technical stuff.
Yeah.
I liked.
You like messing around with it?
Yeah. I'm a tinkerer.
Yeah. You're like my dad.
We'll be right back. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. You can hear the rest of this conversation in just a moment.
If you need help navigating the local real estate market, contact Petrocelli Homes on Niles Boulevard. With almost 2 decades of experience, this family-owned brokerage is an expert in the local real estate market. Give Jennifer Petrocelli a call. With her wide-ranging knowledge of the real estate industry and expert negotiation skills, Jennifer goes above and beyond for her clients. Jennifer helps her clients make smart real estate decisions that benefit them in the long run. So if you're looking for a realtor who knows what they're doing and who genuinely cares about your needs and wants, reach out to Jennifer today and discover why Petrocelli Homes is the right choice for all of your real estate needs.
Do you have any idea how excited I was when Banter Bookshop opened? Like, do you have any idea how great it was to hear that Fremont finally had like a real independent bookshop after all that nonsense with the 2 big chains? So good. Go to Banter Bookshop. It's in downtown Fremont. Buy something. This is a very short ad.
so excited.
And now back to our conversation.
So my dad, he went to school for electronics, and when I was a kid, he would have stacks and stacks of electronic boards that he would have me try to take. Basically, I would scavenge all the parts and pieces, the chips and stuff off of it, and and so he taught me how to use a soldering iron. He taught me how to do all that stuff. Well, as I got older and as he developed more in his career, he went from building electronic boards, now robots and machines do it, to then he went into software, so from hardware to software, he would he started helping develop software and stuff like that. So he worked. But the funny thing is that whenever I would look at the computers that he used, he would always use computers that he built himself, and it would be like, if you look at a desktop computer now, you got all these like fancy ones with lights, LEDs inside, and his would be made out of plywood, or it wasn't like, you can buy like make it yourself kit desktop computers and stuff, but that wasn't him. Like, he would find ways to build a frame for it, places to mount it. Like, it was the craziest thing, and it would be like the most like the least state-of-the-art looking computer, but I was always impressed with the fact that he could have the junkiest, oldest computer, but what he could do on that would just blow everyone's mind because he knew how to maximize what he had. Whereas today, most people are like, I need a new computer. Why? Because of this and this and this, and they might be using like 5% of what the computer can actually do.
And not only that, it's so expensive nowadays.
That's right. Yeah.
And technically speaking, if you build your own, you'd probably save like half.
That's
the
right.
cost.
Yeah.
Which until we got these laptops, like all my home computers were also built.
Yeah. So you sound like my dad in the sense that if he was thinking about ever using a 3D printer, he would probably prefer to try to build it himself.
Yeah. And in my opinion, the fastest way to learn something is to make it yourself.
Yeah. Right.
And then from the trial and error, you learn so much to where anything that goes wrong, you can fix it yourself.
That's right.
Where if you just buy a computer, something goes wrong, technical support.
And then you got to pay somebody,
exactly.
and then the price keeps going up and up and up.
Exactly, yeah. So, and that's, but then it comes down to, okay, once you have the money, there's no need to build it. It's more about
but you started out your first 3D printer building it yourself then. Okay. How long did it take you to build one?
A week. Just I was able to find this cool website called Instructables. It's basically people who made stuff themselves that uploaded
all the
how to.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it's handy. It's when I was a kid, it all comes down to that usually. I usually take stuff apart and put it back together. Sometimes it works still, and sometimes it doesn't. Which, but that's kind of like part of the experiment.
Yeah.
The first client I ever got to making a toy was this company called 100% Soft.
Okay.
And they make, and we made their first toy for them.
Wow.
Which is now their bread and butter. Like,
wow.
It's called Dumpster Fire, if you haven't heard about it.
Okay.
It's a dumpster fire toy. It looks like a dumpster with a happy face, and it has a fire on the other end. And we made it for him like 2018, right before pandemic.
Oh my goodness.
And if you can imagine, that dumpster fire toy was such a perfect timed release to the pandemic, where it just blew up, and now he hasn't made in China by the tens of thousands.
Oh my goodness! But you guys made the first one for him, and that was something out of a 2D drawing that he gave you,
and that's kind of like kickstarted. After we made that for him, and he posted on Instagram and stuff, we just got all kinds of followers and all kinds of inquiries, and we were doing stuff from out of our garage at home. And that basically put us on the map.
Okay.
And after that, we were practically making toys for people, 10 to 15 projects a year.
Oh, wow.
And if you can imagine doing 3 projects per month, and it's only the two of us. It was a lot of work.
Wow.
And
Wow.
Right now we've cut it down to like less than half, like 4 or 5 projects a year.
Okay. So when you say a project, because I'm imagining when you talked about this dumpster fire toy, just one toy being a project, is that right? Or are you?
Yes.
Or
yes.
so
one toy is one project.
Wow.
So, well, sometimes it's more than one. Like we have a client that had 2 characters, but it's like the main guy and a sidekick.
Okay.
So it's part of the same box. You know,
Yeah.
it's DJ Lance. I don't know if you heard. He's like an 80s kind of. He's like a black guy. He wears these jumpsuit and he had like a kids show back in the 80s.
Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So and he's local. In the Bay Area.
Okay.
And yeah, so the guy that I did the toy for, it's a friends with him, and they kind of, and he's also an artist, so he kind of worked with DJ Lance.
Okay.
And then we made a toy for them. But yeah. So
that's cool.
So a project could be more than one toy.
Yeah.
But as long as it's like one box, one piece, you know.
I know you're saying how many projects that you're kind of limiting yourself to per year, but like how long does it take? What is the process of going from
usually if it's the whole shebang, like from
2D drawing.
We don't do the 2D. Usually,
but if somebody does a 2D drawing,
then we turn that into 3D.
Okay.
Usually we tell them 4 to 6 weeks for 25.
Okay.
So we do have a low minimum of 25.
Oh, so this is like okay, so like one project could be one particular toy, but then you're having multiples.
Yeah,
of that
we manufacture them
here. Okay, I gotcha.
Because going to China, if you're doing low minimum, you're spending way more money.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Especially if you're doing vinyl, which is the end thing right now is designer toys and vinyl toys.
Okay.
Because molds are metal. And just that metal mold, just to make like a 3-inch, 4-inch figure, is like $6,000 to $8,000.
Wow.
But metal mold lasts forever,
right?
And they can just spin cast thousands with that same mold.
Yeah.
What we do here is silicone, and silicone will only last about 25 to 30 pulls before it. Well, after about 20 casts, silicone will start to deteriorate.
Okay.
The inside surface start to harden. And then seam starts to go bad, and then so we limit it to 25 because anything beyond that, it's just too much work to fix it.
Okay, I got you.
And it's a waste of our time, and we don't want to have to charge you more for it.
Right.
But if you want to,
if you want to pay for it, that's right. Yeah. So
So it's just so from start to finish. Usually we say 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
As long as it's not too complicated.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. So props and Pops, when did that name come about? Like when did you get into that?
So, it's a little weird, but at the same time, I mean,
it works.
It works. Well, half of it works. Pop, right? The first half, props, we don't have any. I mean, we've made props here and there for clients.
Yeah.
But even though it's in the name, it's not our main focus.
Yeah.
But it's in the name. So, I mean, luckily, we've done a few that was pretty decent. Like we did a prop for a California Lotto commercial.
Oh.
We made these gold nuggets that has California Lotto on it.
Oh, that's
it's like
cool.
A big gold nugget. We did 2 of them. So they had like a shoot on location in Muir Woods.
Yeah.
It's like a little stream. And, and somebody was hiking and they're panning for gold. And all of a sudden they got that chunk of gold that says California Lotto. So that was a cool project.
Yeah.
And then we did another one for like a Netflix movie.
Okay.
But it's like a Taiwanese movie. My wife's Taiwanese, and then one of her friend, he owns like a production company.
Okay.
So he was hired as for that. They were shooting in San Francisco. I guess there's like a cemetery up on the hill. I don't know the location, but in San Francisco.
Okay.
So I was hired to make a fake tombstone.
Oh, okay.
out of EVA foams. I carved it and, I laser etched all the information and then I painted it and make it look like black marble.
Okay.
And it turned out pretty good. It was only like 2 seconds in a movie, but it was cool.
Hello, Fremont. Do you know what's never caused a fight in Target? 280 individual episodes of the Fremont podcast. Instead of spending that amount of money on an insulated cup, buymeacoffee.com/the Fremont podcast/membership for $1 a month. The Fremont Podcast. We've never caused a fight in the middle of a conglomerate chain store.
Yeah, and then how did you get to Fremont?
So after high school, I like a week after graduation, I just moved to LA.
Okay.
Which is about an hour, I guess, more north.
Okay.
Of San Bernardino. And then just started going to LA City College because, City College is cheaper. So I was thinking, the whole get the GED, like general stuff cheap.
Yep,
and
that's
then
right.
Do the hardcore.
That's good. Yeah.
Save you the money for that.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like just did that for 2 years and then went to Platt College,
okay.
PLATT.
Okay.
It's a technical college and took graphic design course.
Nice.
Got my AA. Started working, and I was like, "This sucks," which happens.
What was the particular type of art that grabbed your attention that got you into graphic design? Was it
just design in general?
Okay.
In terms of just. I mean, everything you see, there's, somebody, a graphic designer touched or
that's
created,
right.
Like everything.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
And, I've always been artistic and, since I was younger, so I thought there was a more easier field to get into than, let's say, fine art. So as you know about the term starving artist.
Starving artist.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I didn't want to take that route just because, I'm an artist, So I just thought to go this route, then it's more mainstream and more jobs.
Yeah,
basically.
You see it everywhere and it's useful everywhere, so it's got to be a demand for it.
I mean, unfortunately, at the time of graduation, graphic design was such a flooded field and flooded major that graduates and were like a dime a dozen, and then the value dropped.
That's right, because there was so many to choose from.
So it was like 2003, and at that time, we'd be lucky making $15 an hour.
Wow.
Where 10 years prior, like in the late 90s, early 80s. You can easily make like 80 to 100K.
Wow.
So it was a huge.
And back then that was a great salary.
Yes, because it was niche.
Yeah.
But then it was so good that everybody wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it.
That's right.
But after a year, I was like, and I had friends in the same field, and they're like, "Oh yeah, working for this big company, making $15 an hour." I'm like, really? You're designing like DVD covers for movies and stuff, and you only make $50 an hour. And funny thing or weird thing is that after I graduated, my first job was I worked in a mortuary.
Oh,
which was people are like, what, mortuary? I was a graphic designer for a mortuary.
Okay,
but it was a big one. They had like 10 locations.
Oh,
so I was the one to design like stuff for funerals. Like,
okay, I was gonna say you got me curious now. Like, what kind of a job is that? Yeah,
just imagine.
Is that like the handout, the bulletins or whatever that we're giving out?
Yeah,
and
like
stuff?
pamphlets.
Yeah.
And like flyers and cards and also video.
Okay.
They want like video slide like video of images with like music and
so kind of putting all that together.
So because my major was graphic design, but also motion graphics. So I can also do video editing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was cool. I mean, again, like $15 an hour is not that great, but it pays the bills at the time.
Yeah, at the time, yeah. So then after a year, or were you a year at the mortuary then? And then you were like, this sucks. And you're like...
Well, so at the time, my roommate was going to AI, Art Institute of Los Angeles.
Okay.
He was going to that college for 3D animation. And, I'll see him working on stuff. I'm like, wow, that looks cool, man. It's 3D, because I love special effects. Like, I'm a huge collector of Blu-ray, DVDs, or, not anymore, but Blu-rays. And I always get the ones that has all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Because I love watching how it's done.
Yeah.
So that caught my attention quick, that my roommate was doing that or learning that. So, he's gave me a copy of the software that they're learning and some video tutorials, and I just started doing it myself. And I was like, well, okay. So after that, I was like, I should go back to school. So I went back to school.
Oh, wow.
Which, very convenient. Okay, so after the mortuary thing, I went to another job, which was like not advertising. It's like where they do like it's like market research on advertisement.
Okay.
So actually, I went there first.
Okay.
And the reason I decided to go back to school was the school was right next to that business. And I would see students walking around, and I was like, oh, what is that place? And I figured out what it was, and I just walked over one day and was like, hey, what? I'm interested in what kind of course you guys have. And they have like a new course of like 3D animation, and blah, blah, which I was like, cool, that's perfect, because that's kind of like what I want to get into now.
That's cool. Yeah.
So it was easy. I just walk over after work.
That's awesome.
It was. Unfortunately, it was full time.
Okay,
but
did it pay any better than the mortuary job?
No. It was like 13 something.
Okay, yeah.
But
the convenience was nice.
It was convenient because I was working there full time, and school was considered full time because it was accelerated classes.
Okay,
9 to 5.
Wow.
And then 6 to 10.
That's a long day.
And I did that for 3 years, and I got my BA.
Okay.
Like the first month after I graduated, the school did their job. They found me work.
Oh, wow.
Which is rare.
Wow.
I mean, it's sometimes it's hard for the school to find work for students because there's so many students.
Yeah.
Luckily, I graduated like the top of my class. So I
That's
guess
awesome.
I got first dibs. It's because I learned on my own prior because of my roommate. So that all worked out.
Yeah.
And I got into Activision in LA.
That's cool. Okay.
I'm sure you have heard of Activision.
Yeah.
The video game company. Yeah. So I started working in video games.
Oh, okay.
Worked on like Shrek.
Wow.
Transformers.
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite. This was back in mid 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
2005, I think.
Yeah. So those were video games. All the video games that you were working.
Like on PS2 and the original Xbox.
Wow.
That was before the newer ones came out.
Yeah.
Worked there for I think 6 years.
Okay.
And then 2008, I moved to the Bay Area because I got a job offer from EA.
Oh.
Which is Redwood Shores.
Yeah.
And I got the interview. I drove up here overnight for like the morning of the same interview, same day.
Wow.
I drove up here, slept in my car, and then went to the interview on Friday. And then on Monday, I got the job offer, and I sold everything I could, whatever I could. I left it on the side of the street, and I moved up here like that week, that same week. To be honest, I was getting a little bit sick of LA.
Okay.
Because, I came to San Francisco before on vacation and whatnot, and I really liked the Bay Area.
Sure.
I felt the vibe was much relaxed.
A
little bit more slower pace. Maybe not in downtown San Francisco, but just in general, the Bay Area. Like people are more cool. It's a little bit more crazy in LA. The nightlife, the party stuff.
Not for you.
So I just want something new.
Yeah.
So I made the move. I moved up here 2008.
Okay.
Started working for EA. That's where I met my wife.
Oh, very good.
She also got hired, I think, a few months after I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we were in like the same room, so
Okay. Yeah. What has been one of your favorite projects that you've done?
Most of the projects that we work for clients are pretty cool because in the beginning we were taking whatever projects we can because we just started. We can't say no because we need the money.
Yeah, you need to be able to.
We're not working. We're not making money unless we're working on something. Yeah.
Right.
And it could be, okay project, not something we wouldn't want to really show people, but that's what the client want. That's what they get,
Yeah.
And then there's some really cool ones, like some of the, like that one right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a pterosaur.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like a dinosaur character.
Yeah, I helped work on that one.
Okay.
And this guy right here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. This guy is also one of my favorite.
Hold on, I'm gonna take a picture of it so we can post it in the so people know what we're talking about here. Let me see.
I know that the lighting is cool in that.
There we go. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So, who is this character?
His name is Afronaut.
Okay.
So my client, he's an art director for like a game company in Florida.
Okay.
And he's similar age to me, maybe us. I'm like 47.
I'm 45. Yeah. So we're similar age.
I mean, I don't look it, but
that's right.
I get that. I'm like, what? You're 40?
I thought you were younger than that too. So yeah.
But yeah, so one of his favorite anime back then was Macross or Robotech.
Yeah.
Right? So this is kind of like a spin-off of that. So you can kind of tell a little bit. It has that kind of a 80s, 70s, 80s kind of Japanese cartoon kind of feel. And so, that's cool. This is one of the characters that we made from, and it's nice. Really, really cool, really fun character.
Yeah, it's a very cool character. Yeah.
And this is more like, obviously, like client work.
Sure.
In terms of personal work, like for myself, my favorite one that I did was it's this character. Well, I think if I show you the photo, it's if you go to Instagram. It's because I'm a huge dinosaur lover.
You love dinosaurs.
Ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so one of my favorite piece was this huge life-size Dunkleosteus skull.
Oh, dude, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was looking at. And you made that.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. That's like 2 or 3 feet in
5
diameter.
Feet.
What? 5 feet?
5
oh
feet
my
across.
Goodness.
Yes. So it's
that's crazy.
5 feet across.
Yeah.
And
Did you have to make that in multiple parts and then assemble it, or
72 pieces?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
My printer is only that big.
You made that on that printer over there?
Yeah, piece by piece. Yeah, but it was a fun project.
Yeah,
I mean, of course I was paid for it. But
that's right. Yeah,
but it was the biggest thing I've ever made.
Wow.
You know?
I saw that. I don't know if it was on your website, but I'll go to your Instagram and make sure that I check it out as well and share that. But that's really cool.
Thank you.
Really cool.
And that's probably one of my favorite pieces. My real goal with my dinosaur stuff or fossil replicas is to try to get them into stores.
Okay.
Get them into museum gift shops and this and that, because that's the way to go. I mean, because it's such a niche.
Yeah.
I have 2 Etsy shops. One is called Blue Dinos, which is for my dinosaur stuff, and then one is called Props and Pop for the other stuff.
Okay.
So the Blue Dino stuff sells much less stuff because it's niche. You know?
I was just in Colorado for Thanksgiving with my family, and we went and visited this place that has the largest. It was a geology museum, and it had the largest display of Colorado rock in the world, but in there it also had a whole display of dinosaur bones and stuff like that. But I thought I thought, when I started looking at your website and started seeing the things that you did, like some of the things that you have in there reminded me of the things that I saw in that museum. And I actually thought, man, it'd be kind of cool to have one of those at home,
Yeah.
And so I can totally see you being able to make stuff that would sell in a museum or something like that. One day. There you go.
I mean, I have to figure out how to.
What you need to do is you need to lean into our local.
I need a distributor.
Yeah, well, not just a distributor. You need to lean into our local, like prehistoric, like fossils that are here in Fremont. Like you have the saber-toothed tiger and all that stuff.
You know what? That's a good idea. I never looked into that.
Yeah, because I mean, they've got like you can go to.
Is there some sort of a museum in Fremont?
Yeah, so there's I think there's a natural history museum over off on Fremont Boulevard.
Okay.
We've actually been trying to talk to them about having the person who's in charge of that on the podcast as well. We haven't done that yet. But they have the Natural History Museum right there. And I'm sure there's a few other places around Fremont that have things like that. But I think that would be really cool to be able to make something and say, it was made right here in Fremont. And,
exactly.
You can make it.
I mean, I would love that. I mean, it's one thing selling a one piece here and there on Etsy, but being able to actually have your product in a gift shop or a store, And
you could start off with that and kind of work out the kinks, and then once you get that figured out and have a package, then you can reach out to other museums. Cool.
For sure.
Very cool. Yeah, so let me ask you this. So when I was looking at your website and trying to figure out what all you do, you've kind of shared the story of how you got to where you are now. And I've seen on your website how you can, you've offered to take people's 2D drawings and turn them into 3D, objects. And then you have people that are submitting projects to you. I also saw that you offer workshops and stuff like that.
Yes.
Is that something that you do?
Yes. We just recently, like 2 weeks ago, had a workshop. It's a 3 days crash course. Of resin toy making. From start to finish. Which includes mold making, casting, and painting. And it's fast paced, but it's really fun.
Yeah, so if somebody wants to learn how to do some of what you're doing, then they could take that 3-day class.
And we make it so that it's accessible to anybody. All the materials are easily bought over, like on Amazon or whatever. We're not dealing with anything 3D. Because 3D is a specialized thing where it's, if you can learn on your own, that's great, but it's very complicated for most people, to where it takes more than a few months, if not in your years, to really get good at. So basically, we're using polymer clay. So I teach people how to use the polymer clay and how to sculpt, and then on Friday, it's 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And on a Friday is sculpting, hand sculpting. On Saturday is mold making, and then by the end of the day, we cast.
That's awesome.
And then on Sunday is like post processing, like sanding, smoothing out, and then we're gonna do painting. And then by the end of the day, you have a toy that you made from scratch.
That's amazing.
Not only the original, but you also made your own mold and made a copy. So you can always make more copies for yourself later because you have the mold.
That's awesome.
So you learn how to not only sculpt or make your own toy, but how to manufacture your own toy, because a lot of artists can't afford to pay me to or pay somebody else to do all that. Some people wanted to learn how to do it themselves.
That's cool.
You do save a lot of money doing it yourself. You just have to learn how.
That's cool. Is that the only workshop you guys offer, or is there another one?
Well, for now, I have just sculpting, where you can just learn how to sculpt with polymer clay. And that's like a 1 day. And then mold making. Just mold making, because some people are sculptors. But they don't know how to manufacture. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So so, and then I have the third course, which is the 3 days crash course, toy making.
That's awesome.
In the future, we want to also offer like how to like do concrete casts, like off of like simple, like, let's say if you have like a used milk carton, you can cut it in half. You can pour concrete and make a little planter.
That's awesome. Paul, I love all the stuff that you've done. This is really, really cool.
Thank
you. So if people wanted to find out more about your workshops and what you're doing, I mean, just the toy making, the workshops, and some of the stuff you're doing with the plants, all of these things are things that people might find interesting. You can find them on the website, right? And then you guys have pretty active Instagram as well.
Not
somewhat,
as much as we like to. Like once a week. Post, but sometimes less. But I go through spurts of I should post more, and then I'll post 2-3 times a day for a few days, and then I just fall off.
That's I understand that.
But we try to. So we have 2 Instagram.
Yeah.
One is just props and pop.
Okay.
And that's more for the toy making.
Okay.
And then one is called props and pop decor.
Okay.
And that's more for the planters and all the other stuff that we make and sell ourselves.
Okay. That's cool.
And our website is propsandpop.
Okay. .com.
.com, yes.
Okay.
And that has both.
Yes.
So people who want to inquire about making toys, or people who want to inquire about the workshops that we have, it's all on our website.
Okay.
And it's and we're planning to hopefully add more stuff. And we've even had parents asking about, how about kids type of
workshops or whatever,
something simple and easier for kids and fun for kids. So we will be coming up with something because the jiu-jitsu class right here, every early in the day it's kids, and in the evening is more adults.
Okay.
So, and we get a lot of parents and with kids, and then parents just standing around waiting for the kids to finish their class. So they'll come in here and like, what do you guys do here? We sell stuff. Because art classes, right? Like, the parents are always interested, which is cool because I'm an artist, so
you want to encourage that. You want kids to be able to look back and say, I had the opportunity to learn.
It's I feel creativity is sometimes a little lacking in the
next generation,
or just more like educational.
In the educational system,
like high school, elementary. It's more like in college, then you can choose to be an artist, or then you can get into it. But for me, if they're already interested since they're young, why don't you start them young?
That's right.
They should have more creative like courses and classes. And
that's great.
Elementary and high school, but that's just sometimes budget, right?
Right. Unfortunately. Yeah. Well, Paul, thanks for your time and thanks for sharing all this. I know that you guys are busy, hard at work, and thanks for taking a little bit of time to have the conversation.
No problem. It's been fun. I mean, I'm always open to share my experience, and whoever wants to learn about making toys or how we do what we do, we're always open.
That's great.
And like you said, some people do say there's not much going on in Fremont, and I want to maybe help change that. If possible.
Well, and it takes a community too. I mean, the way I found out about you was through Fremont Gear. Miles over at Fremont Gear, he posted something on Instagram about you, and I was like, that is so cool. I didn't even know that existed here in Fremont. And so we reached out to you, and
the fact that the whole maker movement has been becoming more and more popular, like year per year. There's more like craft shows and conventions and stuff about art and making and all that stuff. And
I know that there's some things that I've been interested in putting together to kind of share some exposure with other artists in Fremont. So I'll reach out to you and get something going. That'd be cool.
Any ideas, or if you want me to help with something, just let me know.
Okay.
We're definitely down because, again, it's the Fremont community that we're trying to bring awareness about. Not just our business, but all local business and creative business and makers and stuff.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks again for being on the podcast, and good luck with all the work you have to do.
No problem. Thank you. Appreciate it.
This episode was hosted and produced by Ricky B. I'm Gary Williams. Andrew Cavett is the editor. Scheduling and pre-interviews by Sarah S. Your reviews help other people find this podcast. If you would, please leave a review on iTunes. Be sure to subscribe wherever it is that you listen so you don't miss an episode. You can find everything we make, the podcast, and all of our social media links at thefremontpodcast.com. Join us next week on The Fremont Podcast.
This is a Muggins Media podcast.